Musto0063 back again to pick up where we last let off the Mega Man 2 Let's Play Perfect Run project. And it's time to tackle what was my very first Mega Man stage ever, Bubble. Mostly because I didn't give two hoots about the ability to stage select on the very first play, so just went to whatever happened to already be selected. And what a first stage it is. Pits, a giant underwater section, spikes, lanternfish, you name it, it's annoying for a first time Mega Man player. I guess there are worse ones though. You immediately encounter a bunch of these croakers who fire off three tiny frogs who jump around all over the place and leave you with very little room to dodge or manoeuvre around them. As you'll see, I've already got hit twice. Not exactly a splendid start. If you can keep certain tiny frogs alive, that will help, as the croakers won't spit out anymore as long as there's one tiny frog on the screen. So make sure you don't dawdle when crossing the what look like crash bomb exploding platforms. They drop a short time after you step on them, so keep moving at all times. You need to be a little bit careful when you drop down there. If you're further to the right, you might land on the shell enemy on the second highest platform up. I'd recommend hugging the left-hand wall when you drop down. You'll guarantee a safe landing that way, and ditto when you drop down here. Although if you are positioned a lot further to the right, you'll also be okay. Just try to avoid landing on the middle of this up platform. If you shoot the shells on these enemies, they fall off and the things run a little bit faster, but they're not exactly sticky Gonzales. First lanternfish time. A giant mechanical fish that spits out these shrimp-type enemies which home in on you fairly quickly and can be a right pain to take out, if they're not at a convenient height. I'm particularly thinking of the occasions where they go below ground level and really cheaply spurt upwards to hit you. Always fun. Its weak point is the antenna bulb on its head, and it takes a fair few hits to destroy it. You also need to pay attention to how high you jump when fighting the fish. There are spikes on the ceiling and a fourth high jump walls thanks to the underwater physics, which now in play kill you. Next little section has you weaving through a narrow-ish ceiling spike section, all the while these jellyfish-type enemies dropping down from the top of the screen to try and block your path. And I'm calling these things jellyfish because their official name, M445, is plain stupid. Whatever. One hit takes them out. Time for lanternfish number 2. A lot more awkwardly positioned, but with spikes running up the walls nearby. Very difficult to back off in this section without any of the shrimps making any great distance to the left. And again, ceiling spikes prevent any excessively high jumps, and probably the ability to jump over the giant fish without taking a hit. Contact with the lanternfish itself hurts like hell, by the way. It takes off a massive chunk of your life bar. Best avoided at all costs. Safe hitting the spike, I suppose. More frogs underwater this time, so the tiny ones hop around in keeping with the underwater physics. They're actually considerably easier to deal with here than on the very first screen. Just again, be careful not to jump too high when getting through them. The spike ceiling is a little bit lower, so little jumps are required. Jump out of the water, and the final obstacle is crabs, which slowly drop down from the ceiling. It's probably okay to rush this section depending on the initial timing of the first crab, but it's somewhat risky, as you could get hit by one and have it knock you back down to the pit. So close to the end of the stage, that's the kind of thing that might cause little boys to cry. Back into the water again, yeah, to be expected I suppose, for the fight with Bubble Man. And this fight does not go well. It's actually kind of embarrassing. No, I don't jump too high and die to a ceiling spike, but manage to get hit on practically everything else. After getting hit on the stage, I was pretty much just trying to be too clever and take him out quicker than I should. That resulted in a few really stupid hits. Bubble Man has two real attacks. He'll fire pellet shots at you if you're ever at the same height as him, and that can be very difficult to avoid if you're mid-jump at the time. The other attack is to bounce bubbles along the ground in an arcing pattern. If you position yourself well, you can allow the bubbles to simply bounce harmlessly over you. But yeah, that was not a good demonstration of anything resembling a good strategy for fighting this guy. I get equipped with Bubble Lead, which a lot of people think is the most useless weapon in the game, and would rank near the top of anyone's most useless Mega Man weapons list. Personally, I don't think it's the worst in the game, nor would it appear on my top 10 worst weapons list by any stretch of the imagination. I'd hardly put it on a favourite or best list, but I do think it gets rough treatment. So, is this where the bubble bursts on my Perfect Run series? Not quite yet. Alrighty, it's Perfect Run time. Now the croakers were a pain, at least toward the start of the attempts to clear this stage. It took a little time to work out a successful, for the most part anyway, strategy. You want to position yourself dead centre of the first platform, and that way the little frog should fall harmlessly over you. Unlike during the Let's Play part, take the time to destroy at least 2 of them, preferably leave one that you can manipulate into following you so that the other croakers don't spit any out. I'd say there were at least 6 screw-ups here. Once I got a rhythm down, they weren't too bad. These shell enemies were no problem. I remember that if you hug the left-hand wall on both occasions when you drop down, you'll avoid them. Although, as you'll see here, I started to get cocky and thought, why not drop down a bit more to the right to save a bit of time? I'm sure that 2 or 3 seconds I saved was well worth it. In fact, what with me ideally needing to wait for the second shell enemy to get out of the way anyway, I doubt that saved any time at all. Oh, the lanternfish. The second one was more of a nuisance than the first, but this one still got me a couple of times. Probably via that cheap method I described earlier, by having a shrimp go too low for me to hit and pop up ridiculously quickly before I have any time to react to it. Much like that, although fortunately I got away from it this time. No troubles with the jellyfish. As long as you're careful not to get cornered, trapped, whatever, and don't jump too high and hit your head on the spikes, this is pretty simple to get through. As said, one hit takes these things out rather nicely. There were about a dozen or so failures though on this second lanternfish. What can I say? It's bloody annoying position. If you don't take out the shrimp fast enough on this one, you've pretty much had it. Although, amazing enough, I got away with doing just that on this run. There, it scored off screen rather than continue chasing me. So yeah, pretty lucky I'll admit. And again there, just about killed that shrimp before it hit me. Edge of the seat time this was. But eventually, this little bugger died. Now, no takes on this section. In fact, not until the boss from this point onwards. And holy freaking energy drop back, man. Anyone really need that many of them? And how the hell did I not actually collect that one? You can see that I almost thought about rushing this part, before thinking better of it. It would be pretty risky at this juncture, in all honesty. Slow and steady is the order of the day here. Now that brings us to Bubble Man. And my technique for dealing with him is actually a lot different than a certain well-known Mega Man Perfect runner. I prefer to get up close and personal with Bubble Man. The fight for me anyway actually boils down to the first few seconds. If he immediately fires at me while rising upwards, then I'm probably screwed. If he doesn't, the rest should be easy. I jump over a pellet shot I know he's almost certainly going to fire at me just before he lands. Then I stand reasonably close to him, such that any bubbles that bounce harmlessly over me. He shouldn't shoot any pellet shots at me unless I jump up to hit him and reach the same vertical height as him. The safest thing to do therefore is stay on the ground and jump over the one pellet shot that I'm almost certain he'll fire at me just before he lands. I can of course, like I do here a few times, jump up and get an extra hit on him a couple of times, but I have to be careful I don't jump too high and trigger him to fire at me. And in all honesty again, I probably shouldn't have bothered. This technique is in contrast to stand as far away from Bubble Man's strategy, which although can work, means you might have to pull off the odd really tight jump every now and then. As said, both do work, but I find the up-close and personal approach is the simpler. Always an element of nostalgia whenever I play Bubble Stage. That's me flashing back to 1992 when I first played this game. I mentioned last time out that the halfway point signalled the end of the quote-unquote easy Robot Master stages. I wouldn't call this one easy, but as it turned out it wasn't too bad. And for comparison purposes, just look at the ones who are left now. Bubble Stage took me 45 minutes to perfect run, the longest so far in the game. There were a total of 21 outtakes, 2 of which were on the Robot Master. To repeat, the frogs at the beginning, before I hit upon a method for getting by them, and the second of the 2 lanternfish caused about 90% of the non-boss related failures. Both areas leave you with very little space in which to operate in, and throw a lot at you rather quickly, so you need to be able to react fast and adapt accordingly to what's happening on screen. As mentioned, for me, the outcome of the fight with Bubble Man is effectively decided in those first few seconds. Shoot at me right from the off, and he'll invariably get me. That's what happened on both of the 2 outtakes I suffered. That third occasion when I reached Bubble Man, he didn't shoot right from off, and from that point on, as long as I'm careful, I back myself to win every time. I was neither terribly happy nor angry during this stage. It isn't a sufficiently difficult stage that would elevate my blood pressure all that much, but the occasional cheapness of a lanternfish, or more accurately the shrimp, and after all the hard work of making it through the stage, Bubbleman ruins the run off just a few seconds before we have a chance to get into the fight, both irk me a little. I therefore give Bubble Stage a 4 out of 10, primarily based on my mood actually, although also backed up by the fact that this stage, so far, took the longest to complete. That's all for this time. I hope you'll join me again soon for the next Robot Master stage of Mega Man 2. You would and want to miss it. Cheerio.